I'm sorry, Mr. Fish. It's just... the format's over. We can't be together anymore. I know, it's just... there's a regional Dex format coming, and... it's not you, it's TPCI's regulations. Don't be that way, Mr. Fish. We don't even know if she's confirmed to be in the Dex either. Thank you, Mr. Fish, for everything. So sad. But anyway, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Pengy, and today we're going to be talking about the closing of the 2022 VGC season and my first experience at the Pokemon World Championships. So, first, I kind of want to just go over the season as a whole, then I kind of want to walk through the World's days one at a time. I'm not really going to go super in-depth on all of the matches I played because that's a lot of matches over 2 different tournaments, and I don't want the video to be 3 hours long. But then we'll talk a little bit about what I'm going to be doing in the off-season, and then finally my goals for the 2023 season, which is going to be starting up in about 4 months. So, let's start with the beginning. I started playing Pokemon VGC at the very beginning of 2020, with my first tournament being a mid-season showdown up in New York. That was a fun little experience for me. I was able to do pretty okay, I think. I went 4-3, which is pretty good, given that my local region is pretty stacked. And from there, things looked pretty good. You know, I went to my first regional. I went 5-5 in Dallas, which was not amazing, but, you know, for a brand new player, not too bad. And then I even went 6-3 in Collinsville. I didn't quite get CP. I lost my matches pretty early against Andrew Ding and against Alex Arand. So, you know, a bit of a tough schedule. Didn't quite make CP. But things looked really good for me. I was, like, really excited. And at that point, I'd already decided that my goal for the season was going to be simple. If not the easiest thing to accomplish, I wanted to reach Worlds. Now, I was already starting with half the season gone, but we still had locals. I was able to pick up 33 points from locals by the time Collinsville was done. I managed to get 25 from top cutting a mid-season showdown. I managed to get 8 for top cutting a Premier Challenge. So I was thinking to myself, okay, you know what? We're vibing. Everything's going to be fine. And then COVID happened, and we didn't get any more CP for 2 years. COVID was a really good opportunity for me to improve a lot, though. You know, I'm not really a player who plays amazing online. I tend to think that I play way better in person. But you're still able to grind out a lot of games. Everybody else was stuck at home. And a lot of people just wanted to play Mons. I was able to meet just a ton of people through different various leagues and Discord servers that I was in. And a lot of people really helped me come into my own as a player. I like players like Jocario, who was like my first VGC senpai, was a really big part of my improvement. Players like Pedons, and just a lot of these players who are, you know, longtime members of the community who are really welcoming to me and really helpful in my improvement as a VGC person. So when things came back at the beginning of the year, my goal was already set. I wanted to make Worlds. Now it was going to be way harder. We had no locals. And I still had to make up about 370 points, about 360 if you factor in the points I got from the ICs, but I didn't get that many from them because, again, I'm not really that great at playing online. So, Salt Lake City rolls around. I didn't feel super prepped for Salt Lake City. I just, like, didn't feel amazingly prepared for it. I didn't feel super comfy with the team I was running, which would then become my main team for several months. But I managed to squeak out a 5-3 result, a top 32 finish, and 60 more points. So already about 100 points in the bag total, including the 2020 ones. Not bad. 1 week later, I went to Liverpool. I narrowly lost a top 8 set against Chef, against Ben Grismer, but I did top cut that event. I've talked about it at length at the Liverpool video. You can go check that one out. I was really happy with that result. I had almost no sleep. I was super jet lagged. I felt atrocious. I lost my round 2 match, so early on I was already with my back against the wall. And from there I just kind of won out and didn't care and just went top 8. It was a really crazy experience. Honestly, like, I don't remember very much about it other than the games because I just didn't have energy. I was falling asleep half the time between my matches, so I felt really happy that I was able to accomplish that despite the circumstances. Then, after that, we had EUIC. I bubbled CP there with 6-3, which is a little unfortunate. Still managed to get a travel stipend for the NAIC tournament, which was a nice little boon for my work at Liverpool. But then came Indianapolis. I was able to win at the Indianapolis Regional, get my first major title. Obviously, I'm pretty happy with that. And, you know, there's a whole video on that as well. If you haven't seen it, I think that video is pretty good. It goes in depth about my run through Indianapolis. We analyze the stream sets. But yeah, that was the Indy experience. And then after that, I kind of shifted my mindset. I had a very weird second half of the season this year. I decided I was qualified for Worlds. The season was a success. Regardless of what happened, everything else was a success. The season already got a dub. So, I decided for New Jersey, I was not going to try to make points. I was going to try to win. I made a really big meta call, built a pretty crazy team for it that I still maintained was a pretty good team into the meta. And then things just really didn't go my way in New York. And that kind of started a bit of a rough snowball where my confidence really started to falter because New York, I got a combination of people knowing my team when they really shouldn't have, which was kind of my fault. I just played games with way too many people and somebody must have leaked the team. But, you know, at the end of the day, I played with like 40 people that I didn't know that well, so it's kind of on me. And then going after that, we had a bunch of online tournaments that didn't really go very well. I missed the Vancouver Regional because I had COVID, which really sucked. And then I switched up my team because Kartana was coming back into the meta, which made the Assault Vest Kyogre team that I've been using really bad. A lot of people kept using it for a while, but it really was not that great, in my opinion. And I was really struggling to find a new team that I was vibing with, so by the time Milwaukee came around, we kind of rebuilt Swordfish archetype with a couple of my friends. And at Milwaukee, I went 5-3, decent result. But again, I had some really unfortunate things happen in the earlier rounds. I lost my round 1 of Milwaukee to running out of your time in a situation where I would have won the game if I had like 2 more seconds of your time because I miscounted, which is my fault. But it really sucks to lose that way because I positioned my way to a win and then lost on the chess clock, which doesn't feel great in round 1. So that felt really bad. NAIC, I got hacked round 1, managed to come back to 5-1, which was really good, and then just like kind of fell apart in the end of it. I had a really unfortunate couple of matches. I ran into some really weird stuff that I was like kind of tilted for, which was kind of just a symptom of how my mentality was shifting from being very, very confident and very, very optimistic to every time something went wrong. There were just so many tournaments in a row where I was getting bad results that if something went wrong in the tournament, it would immediately just kind of break my mentality, and it was going to be very difficult for me to come back. And even though the results weren't even that bad, you know, like I had 4 tournaments in a row where I went 5-3, 5-4, 6-3, 4-2. Those aren't bad. I wasn't cutting those events, but like those aren't bad results. It doesn't show that you're like playing awful. But because it was just so many things in a row even before that, I was really getting into my own head about like not being ready for Worlds. I felt really bad going into Worlds. I played one last big tournament and I went 4-3 there. So again, I didn't top cut, but again, it's like a pretty okay result. But anyway, going into Worlds, I felt really, really unconfident. I was mentally prepared to go 0-3 drop. I just did not think that I was going to play very well. At some point, I prepped my lines. I decided on my team about 10 days in advance. I prepped my lines for about 5 days. And then I was just like, all right, you know what? I need a mental refresh. If I'm playing with this mentality in Worlds, I will not do well. So the best thing I can do now is to not over prep. I've done my prep. I have to trust in what I've prepped and just chill. Just take a break, go in with like a fresh mindset. I'll play some games the day before Worlds, but I felt like that was the best approach for me. So took a little bit of a break, flew into London the day before Worlds, and just kind of vibed a little bit. You know, Tuesday, we flew in a little bit early. We met up with a couple people, had some food, met some really cool people that I had not met before, as well as meeting and hanging out with people that I'm friends with from, you know, the rest of the circuit. Day 0, as I like to call it, was the Wednesday. We got to pick up our badges. I waited for 2 hours in the line to go to the Pokemon Center, but it was great. You know, the Pokemon Center was awesome. I got this bad boy. I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you. I got this horrible, horrible thing. Planning to hide it around the apartment so my girlfriend occasionally finds a really creepy Mr. Mime and gets scared. Don't tell her. I also got this bad boy. If you've seen pictures of me playing in events, or you've seen me playing in events by being there, you'll know that I have had my trusty Corviknight by my side the entire season. It's not this one. He's over there now, but I got him at Salt Lake City. And then I saw this bad boy in the Pokemon Center, and I couldn't say no to him. Look at him, the G-Max Corviknight. He's got little wires in his wings. You can, like, have him positioned however you want. Have him flying around. You can hang him up from the ceiling if you wanted. It's great. You can also, he's got wires in the legs as well, so it's really easy to balance him when you're in a tournament situation. Like, make sure you can have him standing up on the table. I like to keep him like this, but he's such a great little plushie. I'm really happy with this one. Looks really cool. I got a couple shirts, and yeah, that's kind of it for the Pokemon Center, but it was such an incredible experience, honestly. Necra has a video walking through the Pokemon Center. Highly recommend giving it a watch. It was an experience. It's a shop. They have a lot of cool stuff, but it was an experience. My personal favorite thing that they had that I couldn't justify buying myself, because part of my brain, a tiny part in the back of my brain, is an adult. They had like 4-foot-long Farfetch'd leaks that I just wanted to buy and hit people with. Like, they're plushies. You can hit people with them. They're not gonna get hurt. I just really wanted to, and I couldn't. I just couldn't justify it. How would I transport a 4-foot leak home? It still haunts my dreams. I want that leak. I also got this bad boy. This is the official backpack for the competitors at Worlds. You get a huge old backpack full of swag. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff in here that we can look at. I got a competitor's playmat, a competitor's switch case. That's fun. I got a little Pikachu plushie. Oh, this is like not even on camera. There we go, a little Pikachu plushie. I guess, was this even on camera? The switch case, the really cool competitor exclusive switch case. This is not an unboxing video. I'm aware that it's like looking a little bit scuffed, but you know what? We're gonna deal with it. I got a laptop charger, which is in the wrong bag. That's a little awkward. But yeah, basically, the bag is really cool. You out there, you watching this video, you should go qualify for Worlds because A, you get to go to Yokohama next year, and B, you get a whole backpack full of swag. It's gonna be cool. It's worth it, I promise. Yeah, that's kind of my day 0. In a nutshell, hung out with the Unite guys, got to meet some really cool people, got to meet Jocario for the first time in person, and a whole bunch of other really awesome people as well. Day 0, pretty good success. I played a few games on ladder, I think like 3 or 4 games on ladder, won all of them, felt pretty okay actually going into Worlds. So let's talk about day 1, let's talk about Worlds day 1. I'm not gonna go into depth on a lot of these games, but a short rundown. Round 1, I played against the Italian player Shairaba. He had my Nightmare matchup. He had Kyurem, Calyrex Shadow Rider, Sableye, Ditto, Shedinja, and Urshifu, which was one of the teams where I was like, one person in the whole Worlds is like, in all of Worlds, one person's gonna run this team. The chances of me hitting it are very low. I don't care that I have a bad matchup into it. And then like 12 people brought this team and I hit one of them. So that was not a very good read on the meta, was it? So I lost 2-0 to him. Not a great start. But the upside is that in Worlds, resistance doesn't matter. You just top cut with X, or not top cut, but you make day 2 with X2 or better. So I didn't have to care about losing that one as far as resistance goes. A lot of my losses in the more recent major events, I've lost round 1 off the back of like, in NAIC, I got crit a bunch of times in game 3. In Milwaukee, I ran out of your time. And losing round 1 messes with your resistance so badly. It basically means you need to go X1 to top cut. The fact that I didn't have to worry about resistance made me feel pretty okay about going 0-1 because it was a matchup that was terrible. You know, I always say that you get 1 loss to RNG, 1 loss to matchup. You should never expect yourself to go better than X2, but in this tournament, that's good enough. So, round 2, I faced off against Jonathan Quinones, also known as Pocha. 4th time I've played him this season, I think. We played online a whole bunch. He is a Trick Room specialist, and I built my team to have a really good Trick Room matchup, so I kind of just bopped him. He did win game 2. I went for a weird experimental strategy, but he was running Reshiram, which is even better for my team than Palkia. Overall, I mean, he's a really great player, and it really kind of fueled my motivation that I was able to get a win. Against somebody who was like such a really good Trick Room player that I really respect as a Trick Room specialist, because, you know, it's one of those things where I was playing a lot of practice games in the run-up to Worlds, but a lot of my practice partners are not Trick Room specialists. So I have my lines, they work into my friends, and I'm like, okay, great, like this seems good. But you never really know for sure until you play a Trick Room specialist. So I felt really good about that side of the team after the round 2 match. I went into round 3 where I played against Claudio Giandomenico, who got very unlucky because he was using a top secret team that one of my friends built that is full of mind games and only like 5 people had seen. And I was one of the 5 people, so I knew every secret on his team. He clicked Sunny Day off of his Choice Specs Calyrex Shadow Rider after revealing to me that it was Choice Specs, and I knew it was gonna click Sunny Day because I just knew the team. Yeah, you can't really, yeah, it was just very unlucky. Not really much he could do there. So I got a 2-0 win in round 3. I played against my first Japanese player in round 4. I played against Yuki Shimizu. He outplayed me in game 1. It was a close game 1. Game 2, I got into a completely, like, almost guaranteed winning position. And I was like, oh, he can't win as long as I have Tailwind up. Tornadus on the field. I'm just going to click Tailwind. I like, as long as I have Tailwind up and I have Kyogre in the back, he cannot win. And I got so hyper-focused on that I misclicked, and instead of protecting on the last turn of Tailwind, I clicked Tailwind on the last turn of Tailwind, and I lost. So that wasn't great. Not convinced I would have won a game 3 against him. It was a mirror matchup-ish, like he was running Swordfish, but he had like Thundy and Shedinja and stuff. It wasn't quite the French Rain team, but it was very similar to the French Rain team. Not super convinced I would have won a game 3, but still very, very frustrating to lose a set like that from a 1 position in game 2. And then round 5, I played against Ma Kwan Ho, which is they're a representative from Hong Kong. They ran the Nightmare for me. This is not a bad matchup for me, actually. It's pretty good with this team, but he ran AV Solgaleo with Calm Mind Leftovers Kyogre, which to me is one of those teams where you see the person running it and you go, why would you bring this to a Swiss tournament? You need to not get crit, and every single game you're giving your opponent like 10 times to crit you, like 10 opportunities to crit you. It's a very decent team in a single best of 3. In a Swiss tournament where you gotta win 6 out of 8 rounds? I don't know, dude. I don't know. At this point, he was 2-2, so wasn't working amazing for him. He played super, super well, though. I didn't get any of the crits. Like, game number 1, I was able to win. I was able to suss out a lot of the info as well. I confirmed Assault Vest Kyogre, or Assault Vest Solgaleo. But I also had gotten a lot of information on his team prior to the set, because one of my friends had played him, and we'd already been talking about the set, where like a couple rounds ago, he was like, oh yeah, I played this guy, like this Hong Kong player, he had like AV Solgaleo, and like Calm Mind Leftovers Kyogre, and he told me a bunch of the stuff about the team. Like, that's one of the reasons why some people say that there should be open team sheets for like big events like Worlds, because player not like knowing other people does give you a bit of an advantage. But I knew a lot of the stuff going in. I won game 1 pretty clean, and then game 2 he leaned really heavily on Charizard, which was really weird because he has no way of setting Sun. So I didn't expect him to bring Charizard. I thought it was purely to bring into the Sun matchup, but he led Charizard and just Dynamaxed it right away, and I wasn't ready for it. So he did take game number 2. And then game number 3, he brought Charizard in the back, and we got into a really awkward situation where the end game was I had a Dynamax Kartana with 2 turns left and a Zacian at like 40%. And he had a Solgaleo, Dynamax over, and a Charizard full HP. The Solgaleo was also full HP. And I thought my Zacian, which is super, super bulky, we'll actually talk about the team a little bit after this, but I thought my Zacian, which was super, super bulky, was going to survive a Sunsteel Strike. And then it didn't. So I was very scared because I had a Kartana with 1 turn of Dynamax left facing down a Charizard and a Solgaleo, but I just used Max Knuckle. So because I had +1 on the Kartana, Max Airstream picked up the Charizard, and I was able to win 2-1. Really, really close set. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. And then round 6 was when I was eliminated from the tournament. I played against Selahattin Sturm, a German player, in my best matchup. I played against him with Palkia Kali-Ice, and he played very well. I always want to preface that, if it's true, with, like, he played really well. He played the optimal way he could play this matchup. But he won game 1 of a play rough miss. I, like, kind of bopped him game 2, because he doesn't really have a matchup, and then game 3 he crit my Zacian. So, not really much I could have done in that set, which was a really bitter way to go out of the tournament. It really, really sucked. But one of the things that I've made as a goal for next season, or as a personal thing, is that I want to play out every single major tournament. I want to go, if I'm 0-4, I'm playing the remaining rounds, because A, it's really good practice, B, it's good to, like, work on my mental fortitude. I want to be able to make sure that I can not tilt in situations where I'm in a rough spot with resistance, but still technically in, because I have had a couple situations like that where, like, in NAIC, I went into round 9, I played out round 9, but I was like, autopilot not caring because I thought my resistance was so bad that if I won it wouldn't matter, and then it turned out that every X3 got points, so I threw away a travel award because of that. So I like, one of the things I want to do next year is I want to work on playing out every single tournament that I'm in. So that started here with Worlds. I had 2 more rounds left, and I was like, you know what, no, I'm gonna push for the 5-3. It doesn't get me anything at all, but I want to show myself that I can continue to play at a high level against some of the best players in the world, even when there's technically nothing on the line. So in round 7, I was able to play against Federico Barone, my 3rd Italian of the tournament, in a pseudo mirror again. He was running Swordfish, but he was running one with Porygon 2. And basically, game number 1, he was able to win very, very handily. But I was able to use the knowledge I gained. I found out that he had Assault Vest Kyogre. I found out a lot of important information about the Porygon 2. And I was able to just adjust very, very well. And I managed to win games 2 and 3 very, very cleanly, despite a very clean loss in game number 1 as well. I actually got pretty lucky in game 1, and I still lost. Like, he played really, really well. But I was able to adjust in a way that gave me the win in games 2 and 3, and I felt really, really good after that. I leaned really heavily on the Kartana, and I felt really, really strong after that. And then I got a chance for redemption against Palkia Ice, against Satoshi Iwataki, my 2nd Japanese player. And this is where I'll tell you that my main game plan against Palkia Ice is Amoonguss and Kartana. Those are the 2 most important parts of this matchup. So do you want to know what this guy had on his team? He had Safety Goggles Flamethrower Palkia. Yeah, that was great. Fortunately, this time I crit him a whole bunch. I had absolutely no matchup into this guy, and I crit him with Abandon in 1-2-0. I think I got 4 crits that mattered over the course of the 2 games. Game number 1, I was just down to a -1 Kyogre against Calyrex Ice Rider and also Amoonguss with full HP. So I crit the Max Hailstorm on the Amoonguss while he was sporing, and then I crit the Cali Ice with Max Geyser in the end. So yeah, I mean, I will very, very gladly admit that I got exceptionally lucky there in that set, with nothing on the line, but still. With that, I was able to close off my Day 1 Worlds experience with a 5-3 record. I felt pretty good about it. I felt like I was playing really, really well. I felt like I did everything I could in most of the matches. I made that 1 misplay in round 4, which really, really cost me, which is unfortunate. But other than that, I felt like I played super, super well. And I gained a lot of confidence for the London Open from that. I brought a really button-clicky team for the Open in case I just didn't vibe and, like, played really poorly. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just, like, click Astral Barrage off of, like, Choice Specs, Calyrex, Shadow Rider, sure. But I felt really good about my positional play. I felt really good about the way I played in Worlds, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to bring the same team to the London Open. I considered switching Landorus out for Incineroar because I didn't hit any Rinnia Suns, and Lando was there for Rinnia Sun, but I did decide to keep Lando at the last minute. And on that note, let's talk a little bit about the team. So, walking through the team, the 6 is what has come to be known as Ink's 6. It's Zacian, Kyogre, Kartana, Lando, Amoonguss, Tornadus. And I basically initially wanted to use a Agati's 6, which is the same but with an Incineroar over the Amoonguss, and I could not find a way to make the Palkia Cali Ice matchup reliable, and I thought I would hit it a lot. Hit it twice, I hit Cali Ice 3 times, so I was kind of right. I thought I would hit it more, but still, I decided to go with the Amoonguss at the end of the day anyway. Now, if you are an aficionado of the Swordfishes and you know what Ink's team is, you'll notice that this is a fairly different variation of the same 6. I made some minor changes to some Pokemon like Kyogre. I switched the items between the Kartana and the Lando. I redid the entire Kartana spread, which I'll get to. I redid the entire Zacian spread as well. And then the Amoonguss and the Tornadus I did just kind of steal from Ink. I don't remember if he runs Giga Drain, but I liked Giga Drain. So, yeah, that's kind of that. But let's talk about the spreads a little bit. The Kartana is the biggest one that I want to talk about. I put a lot of effort into this. Basically, I was telling people I don't like that people are running Kartana with no attack investment. And people were saying, well, no, the reason why you have to do that is that Assault Vest is kind of bad. And you want to be running enough bulk to survive Max Lightning from a modest Life Orb Regieleki, and also Max Geyser from any Kyogre. So I looked at that, and I was like, okay, well, I only need 52 SpDef and 20 HP to survive the Regieleki. What do I need to survive the Kyogre? And then I figured, I don't need to survive the Kyogre, because with 180 attack, you one-shot the Kyogre in Dynamax. even if it's reasonably bulky, you can see mine is 76 HP, 20 defense. It's a little bit bulky. The Kartana does a minimum of 102% to this Kyogre, if both are Dynamaxed. So I decided, you know what? I actually want to go really offensive here and not defensive, because that is going to be able to do the same thing as the bulk in theory, as in like prevent you from dying to Kyogre and the Regieleki, and B, it's also going to be a big surprise to a lot of players that it's doing that much damage. You know, you switch in an Incineroar and then it takes way more damage than you're expecting. Or, like, this is also so offensive that if you're running, like, a not very bulky Kyogre, but you intimidate the Kartana, I'm still doing, like, 85% to the Kyogre, and then whatever's the other Pokemon can pick it off. Like, I can Hurricane it with Tornadus, and the Kyogre is going to go down. I can Behemoth Blade it with the Zacian, and it's going to go down. So, I felt very, very good about this Kartana spread. It's one of my favorite spreads that I've made over the course of the season. Yeah, I really like it. The Zacian was modeled a little bit after, or I guess a lot after, Agati's Zacian. I really liked how it was slower than the Kartana, allowing it to take advantage of Max Knuckles from the Kartana. Lets you do really cool stuff, like one-shot opposing Zacians, which is really, really cool. I think that's a roll into, like, the bulkier ones, but, like, it's like a 7 out of 8 roll. It's, like, a pretty good roll. And then I really liked that. I liked how bulky it was as well. This thing survives Max Lightning from Modest Regieleki in terrain, I think. I'm not 100% sure anymore. Like, it's crazy. It survives Mystic Water Water Spout. I think it survives Life Orb Water Spout from Kyogre. It survives Max Geyser from an Assault Vest Kyogre. This thing is disgusting. It takes... oh yeah, the defensive investment and the HP investment also allows it to survive Calyrex Ice Rider's Max Quake. This thing survives everything. It survives so much stuff. So you don't really care that you're losing the speed in a lot of cases, because you're just surviving and KOing anyway instead of just KOing first, and the Zacian is usually an end game piece anyway. The speed is pretty simple. I looked at the stuff that was in like close speed tiers to the Kartana, and I figured, you know what, I'll outspeed Nihilego. Nihilego is a Pokemon that is not very common, but Zach Emerzian ran it a bunch, and I did actually lose a practice game because my Zacian was slower than a Nihilego. So I thought, you know what, I can survive with 20 speed investment. We'll put that here. Outspeed the Nihilegos. We outspeed basically everything else that matters as well, while still underspeeding the Kartana. The main thing we miss is we miss outspeeding Thundurus with this, which does kind of hurt, but we have other ways to play around that with Tailwind. So... other than that, I made a slight alteration to the Kyogre. Ink runs maximum speed, which is to get a speed tie against opposing Kyogres, which is fair. I like to build around assuming I will lose all the speed ties. Now with Kartana, you hit a very interesting speed tier where it's worth going max speed anyway, because you outspeed things like Terrakion, which were at Worlds, even if they're not that common. With the Kyogre, you're not really outspeeding anything super notable, so I dropped a little bit of speed. I still want to be able to outspeed Regieleki and Tailwind, but I also managed to put 16 more EVs into Special Attack, which gives you a much better roll on Dynamax Thundurus. No bulk Dynamax Thundurus with Max Hailstorm. So that's kind of the idea there. Everything else is pretty similar. I really liked the 27 speed IVs on Amoonguss, which is one of Ink's innovations. It allows you to underspeed the Calyrex by 1 in Trick Room, but it gives you the most speed possible. So it allows you to maybe outspeed stuff in Tailwind if you have like an Airstream boost. I did actually do that against Pocha. I managed to outspeed his Reshiram with Spore, which was able to... I actually lost that game, but it put me in a really good position. So it's cool. I will say I lost my last round of London Open because of this, so with 0 speed IVs I would have cut the London Open, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I still kind of like it. I'm not sure if it's optimal, but I like it. It's cool. So, going into Day 2, obviously I was not part of Day 2 Worlds, but there's still a lot of stuff to do at these events. If you've never been to an event, there's a lot of really cool side events. There's pods going on all the time, even if there's no official one, so you can sign up and get given a group, and then you get sort of prize tokens that you can turn in for stuff at the prize wall, whether that be card packs or plushies or whatever you want, basically. They have a lot of stuff there. It's really, really cool. So, I decided to play in some side events on day number 2. I watched some Unite, I had some friends playing in the Unite tournament, and I played in the Malamar Cup. Now, the Malamar Cup is pretty simple. It's Series 12, but you hold your Switch upside down. So, I decided to go in with the most button-clicky team I could have possibly asked for. Big shout-outs to my good friend Banfox for this team. This is the team that I talked about a little bit in my round 3 match. Malamar Cup is also best of 1, so this worked out great. This team's sick. You've got Choice Specs, Calyrex, Shadow Rider with Sunny Day. So, that's great. Everyone thinks the Sunny Day is on the Whimsicott. It's actually not. It's just here. So you show them, like, big damage from, like, Clefairy and Choice Specs, Calyrex. And then if there is a Game 2, and in Malamar Cup there wasn't, but if there is a Game 2, you bring out the Charizard Game 2 next to the Calyrex, and they don't even expect Sunny Day as an option because they've already seen Choice Specs. Quick attack on the Zacian, close combat. It's just the most button-clicky, hyper-offensive thing you can imagine, and it's awesome. It's so fun. So, I used this. I went 3-1 in the Malamar Cup. I lost to Zanzibar? No, I think I beat Zanzibar. I lost to somebody, but I don't have notes on that one. Regardless, it was really, really fun. It was a super fun experience. I love side events, man. They have some really, really cool TCG ones as well. Like Ditto Draft is fun, where you get one pack, you open it, you pick 1 or 2 Pokemon, then you make a 10-card deck. That's super funny. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that at all events, Worlds more so, but also at the other events, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. So, even if you're not feeling like, oh, I'm not capable of top cutting a regional or whatever, go anyway. A, it's really good practice to play in the tournament. B, who knows? There have been some people who showed up to their first regional and top cut this season, so believe in yourself. And 3, a lot of other fun stuff you can do. You know, the side events are really, really great. Watching the matches is great. Meeting everyone is great. There's so much cool stuff at these events. Highly, highly recommend. But this was a really, really fun team that Van Fox was able to give me, so really, really thankful to him. I considered bringing it to the Open, but I decided not to. I went back to this thing for that bad boy tournament. So the London Open is the second tournament during Worlds. It happens during day 3, and basically it's a regional at Worlds, or it's a special event. There's no prize money, which is kind of the difference between a regional and a special event. So it's the first opportunity to get some big CP towards 2023 Worlds in Yokohama. So I signed up with the same team. I figured I wanted to do my best to get some good CP. I felt really good. I felt confident that I could cut or at least go 7-2 and get top 32. So I started things off 9-round Swiss. I faced Mark Smith, who was running a Lunadon team. And basically, I was able to win game 1 of this set entirely off the back of how bulky my Zacian was. I played to an endgame. We basically played to the same endgame. We basically mutually agreed, let's get to this endgame. We played to the same thing where it was Lunala versus Zacian 1v1. And I knew that I would survive a Moongeist beam, and he expected that I would not. So, the bulky Zacian got me the win there. Game number 2 was pretty clean. But it's round 2 that I want to talk about a little bit. I played against a man named Ruben Andres, whose team I just have to show you, actually. This guy, he sent me his team. It's goals is the only way that I could describe this thing. It's nuts. But before I actually show you the team, I think I want to discuss what happened in the game, because I don't want you to see stuff and get surprised. So, game number 1, he leads Raichu and Kyogre, and I lead Tornogre. And I'm like, okay, I could double protect, then I can Icy Wind and Water Spout and just kind of win. So I double protect, he fakes out, he clicks Origin Pulse, and then the next turn I go Icy Wind, Water Spout, boom, boom, Raichu is gone. The Kyogre does a little bit of damage. It takes almost nothing, so I know that it's Assault Vest at that point already. And from there, I just kind of win very, very easily. Game 2. He leads Oranguru and also Kyogre. And I'm already like, okay, this is a weirdly bad lead. I can just go Water Spout and Hurricane on the Oranguru and get rid of it. So I do. And that's when his Kyogre reveals Sheer Cold. It doesn't hit, but it scares the living daylights out of me. So Raichu comes in behind there, and he has Fake Out Pressure, so I'm like, okay, I can just go the same way from here. I can Icy Wind and Water Spout, but first I have to get rid of the Fake Out, so I protect on both. The man correctly identifies his only win condition. He reads the double protect, and his Raichu uses Sing on his own Kyogre, missing and proccing his Blunder Policy, which gives Raichu a speed boost. And Blunder Policy is not an item that anybody uses. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh, it's not Sash. My Kyogre will outspeed a +1 Raichu anyway. I'll just click Tailwind and Water Spout. And that's when I find out
that blunder policy is not +1, it's +2. And he clicks sing again, and it hits my Kyogre and puts it to sleep for 3 whole turns, while his Kyogre is firing off sheer colds everywhere. It didn't work, but it was just such a wonderful team that I had to share it with you guys. I got his permission. This is the team, and I want to tell you what he said to me. At 1-0, he's already beaten somebody at this point. He goes, "My goal in this tournament is to make one really, really good player really, really mad." And I didn't talk to him afterwards, so I really hope he did. I hope he just played against, like, I don't know, Animus, and just hit every sheer cold. I love Animus. Nothing against the guy, but, like, somebody of that level. Like, you know, Serapis. Like, a top player, and just hit sheer colds into them. You know why he led the Oranguru? So he could click sheer cold and instruct. He has sheer cold on his Ninetales. I love it. Like, this team is so fundamentally trolly. I love this team so much, and I just had to share it with you guys. With that out of the way, round 3, I played against Esteban Hernandez Baita. I don't remember where this person's from, but they were running Rinnia, my first Rinnia of the whole tournament weekend. There was a lot of Rinnia going on in Worlds. I didn't hit any of it, so this was an opportunity for me to show the value of Lando, who almost did not show up in Worlds at all. I considered dropping him because I used him for 1 game in Worlds out of like 25. So I was like, all right, maybe instant over this, but I kept Lando for Rinnia just for this moment. It was the pretty standard normal Rinnia nowadays. You know, it was the weakness policy Charizard, but super, super slow. So I was just kind of able to roll over it with Landorus. And then I played Chongjun in a mirror. Chongjun, very good player, as you should all know. Basically, the way the mirror goes is we both lead Tornogre, we both click Icy Wind, one of us goes first, and then that person wins the game. That's kind of how the mirror works. You might be saying, oh, but if Pengy, if they click Icy Wind, why don't you, if you know they're going to click Icy Wind, why don't you click Tailwind? Because then you have less turns of Tailwind, because they click Tailwind the next turn, and then they're still at an advantage, arguably an even bigger advantage. So, yeah, game number 1, I won the speed tie and I won. Game number 2, I won the speed tie again, but I missed Icy Wind and lost the game. And then game number 3, I lost the speed tie and lost. So, really sad that I won the speed tie game 2 and missed. That was a little bit unfortunate. I would have been great if I could have won against Chongjun 2-0. Probably would have guaranteed my top cut. But hey, it's not how it went down, is it? Round 5, I played against Corentin Shepens, the captain and manager of the Luxembourg national team. He ran French Rain into me. My least favorite matchup. It's not the worst matchup my team has, but it is the one I hate the most. And you know what? We did pretty okay. I won 2-1. It was a pretty good matchup. Round number 6, I played against the Eveldon with the Slowbro. And this one was a really interesting one. I only won 2-1. But we ended up in a situation where I'm pretty sure this crit didn't matter. But in game number 3, I set up +2 attack on my Kartana. And he set up +4 defense on his Slowbro, and then I used max overgrowth into it, and I crit it dead. But I think I kill with +2 anyway. Maybe I got lucky, I'm really not sure. That's how that went. And then round 7, I played against Maddie Morgan, who was also running Rinnia. This one, a little weird, same exact Rinnia team, but I'd been told that he was not running Reflect on his Grimmsnarl. So I was like, oh, I just win. I can just max the Lando and just click max Rockfall into the Charizard. There's literally nothing he can do. And then he had Reflect on his Grimmsnarl. I was informed wrong. It did not end up mattering because he did not max his Charizard that game. He just clicked Protect. But yeah, honestly, Maddie played pretty well. Game 1, I got really cocky and just kind of autopiloted and lost. But games 2 and 3, I was able to adjust really well. I was able to take the win there. Rinnia is a really favorable matchup for this team, so I felt pretty good about that. Round 8, I played on the side stream against Bars in a mirror, and I hacked the ever-living crap out of him. Game number 1, I won the speed tie. Then he positioned really, really well, got himself into a winning position, and got crit and died. And then game number 2, No, sorry. Game number 1, he got Hurricane confused. That's what it was. And then he hit himself a bunch. Game number 2, he won the speed tie. And then I crit his Zacian with Max Steel Spike for my Kartana. So, yay! I'm so good at the video game. So with that, I thought I was guaranteed top cut. I looked at my resistance. My resistance was super, super strong. I was 7-1. I played against Andrea Casinese in the last round. He ended up finishing first seed. You can see where this is going. He ran Rinya. And I was so just like kind of not focused. It's my own fault. But I just assumed he was running the same Rinya as everybody else, and it was a slow Charizard with a weakness policy. It was a Life Orb Charizard with max speed, so he maxed his Charizard, clicked Max Wildfire into my Dynamax Landorus, and won the game. And then from there, we played a really, really close set. I won game 2 pretty easily. And then game 3, he just positioned really, really well defensively to stall out my max. Then he went for his max, and I positioned really, really well defensively. But then we ended up getting into an awkward position where it was a 50-50 read at the end game, and he got the read correct. So he ended up winning. And everybody on my entire resistance lost. I think except Chongjun. Every single person except for Chongjun lost. So I finished 18th and did not top cut, which felt really, really, really bitter. But hey, I did go 7-2. I got 60 CP from the London Open, which honestly is a really, really nice start. I'm technically tied for 3rd in North America right now, so yay, go me. But yeah, overall, it's a really good start. You know, not top cutting sucks, but the London Open is the hardest regional level tournament of the entire season because everybody who's at Worlds is there. Overall, I felt great about it. I felt like I played really, really well. I was really, really upset to not top cut, but at the end of the day, I don't really have any control over how my opponents do. So that it's gonna happen sometimes. It's just gonna happen. 5 bubbles last season, if we count that. Technically, it's a new season, but yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. I am kind of the bubble king. But I always say that you can't expect yourself to do better than 7-2, because sometimes you're going to get hacked, sometimes you're just going to have a really bad matchup, and sometimes you're going to play really poorly. So that's just how it's going to be. Unfortunately, that was the end of my run through the London Open, and also kind of the end of my Worlds. That leaves us with a couple of questions. What am I going to do for the off-season? There's no VGC tournaments till January, officially. And what are my goals for 2023? So I wanted to kind of let you guys in behind the curtain. So first, I'm just going to be kind of vibing. I'm going to be playing in a couple of leagues during the off season. It's not going to be super relevant to the channel content. I don't really know what the content's going to look like here. I'm going to be doing some challenge stuff. I'm going to be attempting a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Emerald's Battle Frontier. It sounds really dumb. We're just gonna see what happens. It's gonna be fun. So we're gonna be trying that on stream. That'll probably become a video unless it fails miserably. I have some other projects that I'm working on. You know, there's gonna be a gym leader tournament that I'm gonna be playing in, where I'm gonna be playing as the dark type. It's basically a mono type tournament. If that goes well, I'll make a video. But we are gonna continue having videos on the channel at least once a week, hopefully twice a week. High Roller Draft League is still going on. And I will be coming up with content ideas for the next few months, even though it's going to be a little harder with no tournaments and with no real competitive format. Have no fear, content is here. And of course, the most consistent way to get my content is on Twitch. So Twitch is in the description below. And also up here, you can go to that URL. As for my goals, I have several goals. Basically, the way I've planned out my season for 2023 is I have several goals. I am basically calling it a success if any one of the goals hits from a competitive standpoint. I would like to either A, get a day 2 invite to Worlds. I think that's realistic. It's hard, but realistic. Or I would like to win 2 major tournaments. Regionals count. You know, if that happens and I don't get a day 2 invite, which is it is possible, then cool. I'm happy with that. Or I would like to make day 3 of Worlds if it's another 4-day tournament. So I'd like to top cut Worlds. If I don't get a day 2 invite, maybe I can play my way through and top cut Worlds. That would also be acceptable to me, you know? Or, and not even necessarily 2 major wins. Like if I were to like win an IC, like that would also count. Like an OCIC or like EUIC, that would also be fine. You know, basically, I want the year to be better than this year. That's kind of, I have several metrics on like what that would look like, but any way that my year next year is better than my year this year, I will call that a success. So we'll see how it goes. You know, if you guys are interested, I'll probably try this regardless in January, but I was thinking of doing monthly uploads where I basically talk about my journey through tournaments. So, you know, if there's locals back, like I can talk about my local results for that month, talk about the regional results for that month. For like bigger results, like if I win something or if I do really well at like OCIC, like obviously that'll be its own video. But I thought that like a monthly sort of VGC circuit update might be an interesting idea. So if you think that's a cool idea or if you think that's a dumb idea, let me know in the comments below. If you're still here, hi, I hope you enjoyed this video. You guys do seem to like the videos where I just kind of talk about my tournament experiences, so which makes me happy because I like talking about Pokemon. It's really, really cool. But yeah, that's kind of gonna wrap it up for this video. I think at the end of the day, it's been a really, really fun year. I really enjoyed using Kyogre. I didn't think I would at the beginning of the format. I didn't think I would be a huge Kyogre stan, but here we are. Turns out clicking water spout's a really, really fun thing to do. And it's going to be a little sad and a bit of a tough adjustment, you know, no Dynamax, no restricted Pokemon. It's going to be a whole new ball game once we get into Gen 9. Terastallization looks super cool to me. I'm really, really excited. I just think the format is going to be amazing. I think we could be looking at like the golden age of VGC, depending on, you know, a lot of things, but I'm very optimistic. I think the game looks awesome. I'm really, really hyped. So please join me on this adventure. Obviously, we're not going to be doing Scarlet Violet stuff for a while, but, you know, stuff in the meantime. And if you want to just come on back for the Scarlet Violet stuff, well, there's a great way to make sure that you don't miss any uploads of that sort of variety. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and of course, if you enjoy these kinds of videos, drop a like. Let me know how your season was. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about Series 12. Tell me some of your accomplishments. I want to see what you guys have been up to. You know, I really, really love hearing people talk about what they're proud of in VGC. So use this as an excuse to drop some bragging in the comments section below. I want to read a lot about what you guys have been able to accomplish this season as well. And I hope to see you guys on the circuit next year. I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you guys next time.
You know, AV Ogre is dummy thick. Dummy